Creativity is essential for creating contentment in our lives because of both the experiential part. It's fun to come up with solutions and build stuff and engage in play, as well as the external results we get to witness, the impact of our ideas, creations, and energy on the world around us. Pretty juicy topic to cover in under 10 minutes, but I love a good challenge, so let's dive into it. First of all, what is creativity? To me, it breaks down into two simple components. One is novel thinking, and two is the act of creating something. As Rick Rubin shares in The Creative Act, A Way of Being, creativity doesn't look just one way for a certain type of person. It's universal to the human experience and can be regarded as what you might initially assume, like crafting a piece of art or performing music or designing a perfect space in your house. But it can also look like innovation in the workspace, thinking outside the box in parenting, or bringing play into our lives and relationships. Now, marinating on this topic, I found that there are 5 core parts to creativity that must be present and even actively practiced for us to not only invite more creativity into our lives, but also to get out of our own way in the act of creating. Let's first build off what we covered yesterday: presence and mindfulness. We cannot experience creativity without presence. So if you're looking for another reason to practice presence in your life, here it is. Presence is where ideas are born. When we are truly present, we clear our mental clutter. We live in the now, and we experience that moment from a judgment-free zone. Judgment is a creativity and curiosity killer. So if you're like me and constantly hearing that voice of your inner critic chime in about how you should be further along on the path than you are, or how you should be more like so-and-so, or how you wish you could just quit all the things so then you could have the space to be really creative, then you know something about judgment. So presence gives us the access to that spacious way of being, which gives way to flow. Flow is the ultimate experience of presence, in my opinion, because it's truly being completely in the moment and in the process of creation and creativity. The second core part to creativity that must be present in practice for creativity and therefore creation in our lives is the heart of Brene Brown's work: vulnerability and courage. Embracing imperfection and starting something without knowing exactly how it's going to go is a vulnerable experience and a courageous act. When we welcome the mess of not knowing, we are actively leaving our comfort zone and entering the field of possibility. The experience of that for most invites fear: fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, or even fear of our own power, as Marianne Williamson believes. Being creative requires moving through our doubts and fears of not knowing how to do something and doing it anyway. To me, starting is the most vulnerable and courageous act to take in the process. Then, the third core part to keep going in that process and not give up revolves around self-trust. Some people refer to this as tuning into your intuition, trusting your instincts, going with your gut. All of these are the manifestation of self-trust. We cannot allow ourselves to go through the messy middle of the creative process without self-trust. This might be the hardest part for most of us creators because it means a number of things. One, trusting ourselves means that we let go of how we think it should be going and instead accept what it is, where we are, who we are. Sometimes that looks like letting go of the timeline so you go deeper, slowing down when you need to. Sometimes that looks like letting go of the expectations of the end result so that you can focus only on the next step. And sometimes it looks like letting go of being great or successful on the first try so you can learn what's needed and not skip steps. Letting go is like mini internal trust falls. There's no one else you can trust more than yourself in your process. Fourth in the core components of creativity is remaining open and receptive. On one level, while remaining rooted in what you envision and why you want it, staying open to how you achieve it allows your process to unfold rather than be forced. Keeping an open mind and heart to creative solutions and intuitive hits means you get to integrate that presence and self-trust we've already discussed. The most critical choice points have less to do with what you do to achieve the goal or create the thing, and more to do with who you are becoming in the process. On another level, staying open and receptive can also be a practice in relating to spirit, source, the divine, God, or the universe.
Before we dig even deeper together, I want to make sure you've grabbed your free copy of The Growth Without Burnout Blueprint, a guided journal I created just for creatives like you who are building bold, beautiful lives and businesses without losing themselves to the grind. This is your rhythm reset, your space to reflect, realign, and remember who you are while you grow. If you've ever felt like your ambition and your nervous system are at odds, this is for you. Inside, you'll find powerful prompts, check-ins, and mindset shifts to help you grow with courage, creativity, and clarity without burning out in the process. It's totally free, it brings you back home to yourself, and it was made with you in mind. Head over to ellenbrowencoaching.kit.com/no burnout blueprint or tap the link in the show notes to get yours today. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Whatever you choose to call it. In Rubin's The Creative Act, among many other texts, he explores the concept that ideas are gifted from a universal consciousness. If you're open, you're more likely to receive that hit of inspiration and clarity from the divine. Through prayer, meditation, or simply moving through the process, that leads you where you seek to go. And finally, the fifth core element of unlocking creativity, and most especially overcoming the doubts of your inner critic, is self-compassion. The good news and bad news is that all of us will always have an inner critic. You are completely normal for having that voice that questions and doubts and fears change and growth. It does take work to distinguish that voice from your true inner knowing or your intuition. And we will never truly silence that voice. So, how do we work with that voice instead of against it? The answer is self compassion. In the same way, when a toddler is having big emotions or fears, our job as parent is not to remove the feelings or fears, but simply be with them through it. That's our job with our inner critic. When those fears are loud, we listen and show ourselves tender compassion. We can even take a meditative approach, like we covered in yesterday's episode about presence, where those thoughts and fears and feelings are like leaves floating down a river that we can simply observe and not follow. And when we aren't able to tune those voices out or let them float on by, we lean on our trusted circles to remind us of how that gentle, loving care sounds. And we accept that compassion. So, my friend, practice deep presence. Allow yourself to be vulnerable in your courage to start. Trust yourself through the messy middle. Stay open to the unfolding. And have compassion for yourself when things get hard. You are no stranger to the journey of creation. But I hope today's episode offers you an interesting new place to play creatively. Join me here tomorrow for a deeper look at creating that trusted circle that makes all the difference in your journey as a contentment creator. If you enjoyed today's episode, please show your support by rating and reviewing in your app of choice. It would truly mean the world to me to hear from you.